Hi, welcome to our new vocabulary lesson. This time is going to be about spelling and pronunciation. We'll have a look at some reasons why spelling is important while learning vocabulary. We'll have a look at some strategies or ways to help us remember spelling of the new words we learn. We'll go through 5 different ways of learning spelling, and then we'll have a look at a few rules related to spelling, and we'll end up with spelling and pronunciation, their relation to vocabulary learning. Why do you think spelling is important? Actually, it is important because it aids reading. It helps cement the connection that's shared between sounds and letters. Learning high-frequency sight words also has been shown to help with both reading and writing. This is why students learn sight words during their early years, at the very beginning of primary school, sometimes KG. Spelling and reading also have a common factor, that is proficiency with language. Now, how to learn and remember spelling of a new word that we come across? You need to use memory tricks to help you remember tricky words like necessary, accommodation, which are long and tricky words, believe. English spelling sometimes seems crazy, illogical, weird, but there are some patterns, some rules and reasons why some words are spelled the way they are. This is why we need some strategies to help us remember how the words are spelled. To remember a spelling, you have to keep writing the word. But if you have problems with it, then you need to use the memory trick to fix it in your brain. A very important memory trick, and a practical one, is word within the word strategy. For example, focus on how many D's are there in address. There are 2 D's. With A, they make up one word, add, res. So add is the word within the word. It's the word within address. If you look at the word young, you can find a smaller word that is you. Listen, a smaller word inside the word that is list. Listen to the list. That would be a nice memory trick to help you remember. An example here. It's the individual letters within the word that usually cause problems. The example is necessary. What a nightmare is this word for some students. Is there 1 C and 1 S? Or 2 C's and 2 S's? Or 2 C's and 1 S? Lots of different spellings you might see for this word. To remember the one correct spelling of this word, we have to use a memory trick. It's necessary to have 1 collar and 2 sleeves. 1 collar and 2 sleeves. Collar can remind us of the C, 1 C, and 2 sleeves, as it starts with an S, reminds us of the 2 S's. So the word actually contains 1 C only and 2 S's. Here's a picture that might illustrate this memory trick for you. The word is necessary. It requires 1 collar, 1 C, and 2 sleeves, 2 S's. Another example, peace, I-E, or peace, E-A. These are homophones, which means that they are the same sound but different meaning and different spellings as well. If you check on your computer, the spell check, it will say, yes, it's correct spelling for either one, but is the meaning right? I mean, if you write the word peace, E-R-I-E, in the context that requires peace with E-A, the computer won't depict it as a problem. We have hundreds of homophones, and we use memory tricks to help remember which is which, because you can't rely a lot on your spell checker and computer. We can use the word within a word memory trick also for a piece of pie. A piece of pie. What's the word within the word here? The target word is piece. The word within the word is pie. So when I keep in mind a piece of pie, I remember that the smaller word within the bigger word is the word pie, within the word piece. Have a look at this example and try to check whether you can see the word within the word. Here or here. The memory trick can be, you hear with your ear and you learn. So you might have noticed here, the word within the word is repeated 3 times in one sentence. That's perfect to make you remember the spelling of that word. So if you want to speak about hearing related to auditory, related to listening, then you remember the sentence. You hear with your ear and you learn. They all have the smaller word ear. There are actually 5 different ways of learning or remembering spelling, helping ourselves to remember spelling. First, you sometimes need to know the history of the word. Words coming from a Latin origin might have a special spelling. And therefore, when you know the origin of this word, you help yourself remember it. You sometimes need to know how the word is made up, the word formation. Unhappy, it's formed of a prefix and a root word. Dissatisfied, similarly, has a prefix in its formation added to a root word. Thirdly, knowing spelling rules and letter patterns helps a lot. Knowing the word families and how words are linked together is also very important. Knowing pronunciation, sounding out the word, how we say the word is important. And I would even say this is the golden rule for remembering the words. Say it out loud. Listen to yourself saying the word. This helps you remember it. Saying the word aloud, pronouncing each syllable over and over again. While you say the word aloud, visualize it and then write it down several times. You see here linking the visual to the audio. This kind of combination brings the word into your long-term memory. Here are a few plural rules, or the rules we need in order to spell and also pronounce the plural words correctly in English. For many words, all you have to do is to make them plural by adding S, like dogs, cats, trees, kids, lots of words. However, some words require a little more work. If, for example, the word ends in ch, s, sh, ks, or z sounds, you add es to make it plural. For example, churches, brushes, faxes. So you might have noticed here that the spelling is different and the pronunciation is different too. If the word ends in th or fe, remove the f or the fe and add ves. There's a complete change here in spelling. For example, one wife becomes many wives. The f disappears and it's replaced by a v. There are some exceptions to this rule, such as belief, the plural of which is beliefs, and proof, the plural of which is proofs. Finally, if a word ends with a consonant followed by a y, remove the y and add ies, again a spelling change. Baby becomes babies under this rule. One more rule, the spelling of able or able, whether it takes an I-B-L-E or A-B-L-E. Able is an ending that's used on words that came from Latin. Remember that we said we need to research and know a little bit about the origin of the word. No new words are being created with able endings. So, able is mainly related to Latin words or words coming from a Latin origin. Legible, for example. The modern word is readable. It doesn't take able, it takes A-B-L-E. The able ending is used primarily for words that don't have Latin roots and for modern words, but it's used on some Latin words too, such as dependable. But these are rare examples for this rule. Now look at this rule of thumb. If you remove able from a word, then you have a complete word left, such as affordable. Remove able, you'll find afford, a completely meaningful word. Contrastingly, if you remove able, I-B-L-E, from a word, you don't have a complete word. Think of invisible, for example, or terrible. If you remove able, you find something that's not meaningful. That might be a memory trick, something that might remind you and make you sure when you are going to write a word ending with the suffix able, let's say whether it is A-B-L-E or I-B-L-E. One more rule. I-E or E-I, that's very tricky, that's very tricky. One of the best known rules that has helped countless people figure out which comes first, the I or the E, is this. I before E, except after C. Or when sounding like A, as in nay, neighbor, way. Some examples of IE words are believe, chief, and friend. So you notice here we don't have a C, and it's not pronounced A. This is why it's spelled I first and E later. Some examples of A words or EI words when the E precedes the I are ceiling. Notice it's coming after a C. Deceit, again it's coming after a C. Receive, after a C. Finally, we'll talk about spelling and pronunciation and their importance, but before going into some details, I want you to have a look at the site www.spellingcity.com. This is a very interactive and important site that will help you learn vocabulary, focusing on pronunciation and spelling. One of the items that you might find on this website is something called Spelling Teach Me, which helps students learn the spelling of a word. It stimulates two learning modalities, visual and auditory, which are the two most important learning channels. If you are a student, Spelling Teach Me is a great way to teach yourself. It's not advertising, but it's sharing my experience with you. Just try to follow the link and you'll find it so useful. Plenty of exercises. Added to the exercises, you find something related to flashcards. Online talking flashcards. They allow users to study spelling and vocabulary words in context, learn definitions, parts of speech, and more aspects of vocabulary learning. If you use this Vocabulary Spelling City activity as your own personal flashcard maker, you will save your time just writing your own flashcards. Creating flashcards for kids using their word lists gives them a fun, interactive way to study for tests. Create your own flashcards. You are no longer a kid. And make it interesting, make it interactive. Use flashcards online or create flashcards printable featuring your own content. You can print out your flashcards that you can create online. So we now come to pronunciation. A few necessary details. We're not going to go into all the details. Phonological awareness facilitates the development of vocabulary and word consciousness. When you are aware of how to pronounce a word, then you will be able to remember it and you will be able to spell it. Phonological awareness and memory are involved in these activities of word learning. Attending unfamiliar words and comparing them with known words, repeating and pronouncing words correctly, remembering, encoding words accurately so that they can be retrieved and used, retrieved from your memory again, differentiating words that sound similar so their meanings can be contrasted. This, of course, leads us to talk about homophones. Homophones are words that have the same sound but different meanings and different spellings. For example, and the most tricky ones are there and there, and also there. Three different meanings, three different uses, one same pronunciation. We also have two, T-O, two, T-O-O, and two, the number. Bean, the past participle of the verb to be, and bean, the vegetable. Which, and which, the relative pronoun. Buy, and to buy something, and buy, the preposition. Here, for place, here, the verb. Let's have a look at an example. The most common mistake is with there, and there. There is for place, T-H-E-R-E. Use a word within a word, memory trick, to remember it, to distinguish it from the other there. The word within the word is here. If you take off the T, you'll find the word here. Also, in where, if you take off the W, you'll have here the verb, the word. There for possession, my car, their car for plural. You can here use again the word within the word. In there you have air, which has H-E-I-R. The last one. There, verb and contraction, subject and the contraction of the verb to be. Contraction of they are. When reading your book back, say they are as they are, there as they are. When you use the emphatic form here, there, the contraction, as they are, you explain that this contraction is the contraction of they and are. This is the end of this lesson. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you make a good use of these strategies, go back to them, and study well.